this day just gets crazier and crazier. So let's talk about this because Kelsey Conway said she just spoke with Trey Henderickson's agent, Arnold Lewis, about Hendrickson trade requests. Hendrickson is hopeful for the Bengals to reconsider and give him a long-term deal. If not, he wishes to be traded. But he's also considering retirement. Listen, right? Oh, Lordy. I love Trey Hendrickson. He's coming off a fantastic season. But if I'm a team, right? If I'm an NFL team, and my player is requesting to be traded if he doesn't get a long-term contract, right? That's one thing, right? You're sitting there, you're talking, okay, what should we do? You kind of get the board together and you say, okay, what's the best scenario here to deal with this? But then if I hear the next report is he's considering retirement, well, why would I give you a long-term deal if you're considering retirement? That just sounds like a bad investment. And I'm looking at this from purely a business point of view. I love Trey Hendrickson. I want him on this team forever. But if you're looking at it from a business point of view, we gave Geno Atkins, 4 years, $80 million. He retires after 2. If Hendrickson right now is saying, hey man, I might retire. I might just call it quits if I don't get a long-term contract. Or if I don't get traded. That, as a team perspective, from a franchise perspective, that sounds like a bad investment. If you give him, let's say, a 5-6 year contract and he's on your team so he's 36, 37 years old, that sounds like a really bad investment from a team point of view. But you give him $120 million over the next 6 years, well, cool, but at the end of the day, if he retires after 1 or 2 years, well, that's a problem. And now that he's even thinking about retirement, that's another whole entire monkey wrench thrown into things, right? If it wasn't for the retirement thing, I would say you're going to have to figure something out. Now, first off, let's just talk about the truth here. He is not getting traded, okay? Same thing with T. Higgins. He requested a trade. He doesn't get traded. Trey Hendrickson is not getting traded. All this is going to be is, guess what, buddy? You have 2 years left on your contract. If we don't trade you, which we're not going to, and, you work out the rest of your contract, he'll probably retire then. And that's pretty much what's going to happen. I think the reason why also he thinks about retirement is because of the fact if he does, let's say we refuse to trade him, right? We say, we're not trading you. We're not giving you a new contract. After his next 2 years on this contract, because he's not going to sit out. He's not going to refuse to play. That's just not how Trey Hendrickson is, one. And two thing, with how many times he would get fined, it just doesn't make sense for him to do that. But by the time he ends up this contract being over with, he'll be 33, 34 years old. And at that point, yeah, if I was him, I would retire. But again, like I said, if you're looking at this in the perspective of he could either retire at 33 or 34, and he wants a long-term contract, and right now he's sitting at 30, that means that anything more than a 3-year contract would not be a good investment for the team. See, that's the thing that kind of irks me, where it's like, I love Trey Hendrickson, but I see a little bit of where the team's coming from to a certain degree because of how, again, the retirement angle, I don't know. Because I would love, listen, at the end of the day, I would love to say, go give him a 6-7 year contract. But then again, you got to look at the fact of, if he retires, we're 3 years in, having to pay him. That he's not on the team. So, well, again, you only have to pay him the guaranteed money, by the way. It's not, you don't have to pay him the other. But still, nonetheless, though, it's, oh, man. I don't know. I don't know what angle we go at this with. Because it feels like it's a really weird situation. If he was like, hey, listen, I want a long-term contract. I'm requesting a trade so I can get this reconsidered. And I want to play for the next 6 years with you. I'd be like, okay. I mean, 36-year-old pass rusher, a little questionable, but whatever. Trey Hendrickson, if he feels like he can play, he can play. Cool. But if he's like, hey, listen, if I don't get traded or I don't get paid or a long-term contract, I'm gonna just retire after 2 years. Then I'm like, so you're gonna just leave? You're just gonna leave football? Well, why would I give you a long-term contract? This throws another monkey wrench into things, because it's like, how are you going to pay someone who's willing to retire in 2 years? And he wants a long-term deal. I guess I get the point that he's retiring because he's not getting a long-term deal, and it's going to be harder for him to hit free agency, and let's say, hypothetically speaking, and get a big contract. So he wants to get as much as he can now. But what happens in 2 years if we give him a 6-year contract and he still wants to retire? I don't know. Again, this is just all my thoughts out loud. So don't take anything I say here as like gospel. Don't take anything I say here as like factual. I'm just thinking out loud, and I want to hear you guys tell me your thoughts and opinions. Right? I want to see. That's what sometimes when it comes to these type of videos, it's more like a ramble, because I just want to kind of hear your thoughts and opinions. So don't take anything I say and like don't get offended by anything I say or get upset with anything I say. I'm literally just voicing my thoughts out loud and see what you guys are saying, because this is crazy. And again, like I said, I guess it really just comes down to the if he doesn't want to hit the market at. But even then, I mean, hitting the market at 32-year-old pass rusher, Von Miller got $120 million when he hit the market at that time. So I feel like he could still get paid big boy money. So I think it's not fully the fact that he thinks he's not going to get paid. I don't know. It's a weird situation. And again, he's not going to get traded. He's not going to get cut, released, traded. It doesn't matter. Because first off, the team would have to give us something that is so much that we feel like we win times 1,000. And no team's going to give us that for him. I don't think they will. I think he's coming off a fantastic season. He's doing great. But the problem is now, if you're the Bengals, I mean, I guess this doesn't really change your draft plans at all. Because he's on contract for 2 years. He's not going to sit out. He's not going to refuse to play. So, yeah, he might be unhappy. But that doesn't really change anything. If he's unhappy, he's unhappy. That's part of the business angle, right? And again, I'm trying to separate myself from the fan perspective to a business perspective and how the Bengals are going to look at this. Because we can look at this as a fan all day. I love Trey Hendrickson. Give him all the money in the world. Pay him like crazy. I'm cool with that. But from a business perspective, which is how the Bengals are going to look at this, they're going to look on what's their RI. Wait, hang on. Return on ROI. No. RIO? No. Yeah, it's ROI. ROI. Return on investment. That's what they're going to look at. And at the end of the day, we get, as fans, have perspective, think this, and this. But at the end of the day, they're going to look on what is my return on investment for Trey Hendrickson. If Trey Hendrickson is telling us today, I could retire in 2 years if I don't get a long-term deal, then as a team, you got to look at it and say, is it worth it to give him the money? If there's a chance he might have this same philosophy in 3 years. I give him a 6-year contract for $120 million, and in 3 years, he's telling me, I'm done. I'm retiring, man. That was a great run. What? I could have kept you for 2 years, saved all that money I just gave you, and signed other players and drafted your future replacement. Now, in 3 years, I'm, mentality here, ups S's Creek. I don't cuss in the chin anymore. I never try to cuss in the chin, but up S's Creek without a paddle, right? Because I could have drafted your replacement in 2024, but instead, I expect you to be on this team for the next 6 years, and 3 years in the future, you're out. You're retired. And all I can blame then, if I'm the Bengals here, is myself, because he already said he would retire in 2 years if he doesn't get a contract. So, or even then, again, like I said, it's not even guaranteed in 2 years. It's just he's considered retirement. So he might retire tomorrow. He might, not get a contract worked out and say in August, hey, listen, guys, I'm retiring because I didn't get a long-term contract. Which, again, is just your return on your investment then goes out the window. And these are things that teams look at and think about when they're going through these players. Yes, there is a level of, I love this guy. I want him on the team. He's our rock. He had a fantastic season. And you think of it like that, but you also got to think of return on investment. If a guy's telling you he's going to retire, that mentality of it, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's the same mentality here. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Peace out.